Well, I'm going to go ahead and get started, guys, if that's all right with you. How's everyone doing today?
Great.
Good, good, good. Ready for another Weedy Wednesday week? Yes. All right, so elderberry is the week, but we're also covering elderflower. So both of these are a part of the same plant. They're just integrated in, they're two different parts of the harvesting. So the flower is the same aspect of the plant, it just later turns into the berry. So it depends on what time you harvest it. So the flower shows up first, of course, in the springtime, and then if that is not plucked and harvested, it will later turn into the berry. So medicinally speaking, they have two different properties, whether or not you ingest the flower versus the berry. So we'll sample those today. We'll go through two different testings, and you can try out the differences. We're going to try the elderflower tea blend. We're going to try the elderberry tincture. And then I'm going to go through a decoction of the elderberry and make an elderberry syrup for you guys. Okay? So, like usual, let's go off and start with a tasting. Okay? All right. So has anyone here, I know elderberry is more traditionally utilized. Has anyone tried the flower before? No? Okay. So when talking about the flower, I would say, is a little bit more gentle than the berry itself when you're utilizing the berry. Because of the immune stimulating qualities with the berry, you want to be cautious with anyone who has an autoimmune condition, because it will stimulate that autoimmune condition, because it's stimulating your immune system. The flower, however, is a little bit more gentle. It doesn't really have those properties to stimulate the immune system. So it's utilized a lot with children and colds and flus. When the berry is a little bit more moistening, the flower is a little bit more astringent. Now, they're both utilized for colds and flus. So the flower, think of sinus congestion, those boggy sinuses, and you'll know when you taste it because it will be drying and astringent. Okay? Thank you, ladies. Oh, sorry about that. Carly, would you like to try some?
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we'll go through organoleptics today. And now it was just brewed, so it is quite warm. If you need to blow on it a little bit, I understand. With the organoleptics, once it's cool enough, let it sit in your mouth. And once it's in your mouth, remember your tea or wine tasting like symptoms. So, or wine tasting like scenario. Swish it around, see if all the mucus is sucked up from your mouth. Does it leave it dry, or do the salivary glands provide moisture in the mouth? When doing organoleptics, these are things to identify. How is the flower affecting you? So I'm going to take just a moment and do the same here. I have a really complex relationship with the flower, because when I smell it, it smells so lovely. It smells so floral, and then when you taste it, it's not fun. It's astringent and medicinal, at least for me. Is anyone familiar with the alcoholic beverage Saint Germain? Have you heard of it, Erica? It has this really fancy bottle. but it is made from elderflower. It just it always reminds me of it because it smells like the floral. So as we go around and we do the organoleptics, what's everyone tasting? I know it's quite warm, so it's kind of hard to get a flavor. But
So I'm actually tasting
floral.
floral.
Okay.
Yeah. Front of my mouth was more moist, and then after swallowing the top of the tongue and the rest of the mouth.
I'm gonna actually pass this over to you, Erica.
Thank you.
Or else no one's gonna hear you.
Oh,
Okay, so could you repeat that?
Sure.
Thank you.
I'm actually tasting floral,
Okay.
and the front of my mouth is moist, like around my lips and teeth.
Uh-huh.
But then after swallowing, the top of my tongue and the roof of my mouth become very dry.
Oh, interesting. So can I ask you, when you before you drank the tea, was your mouth in a dry state, or do you feel like you were holding a lot of moisture in your face?
I feel like it was dry because
Dry?
I drank some water before I came in because I'm thirsty.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Does anyone else have anything to comment? How are you guys responding to it?
I thought you had
How about you, Kathy? Could you speak into the microphone, please?
Oh, it's drying and
Okay.
more astringent to me, not like the other the root that we used last time.
Yes, which
was
yes.
more
moist
moisturizing.
and yep. Mm-hmm.
But this does taste floral to me.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you still, some of the floral aspects are coming through into the taste?
Yes.
Okay, interesting. How about you, Kim?
And I agree with this gal.
Uh-huh.
That's exactly when she even said like the top of her tongue and the roof
Uh-huh.
of her mouth dry.
Oh,
But I can taste the floral.
Yes.
fascinating. Okay, thank you, guys. Okay. All right, so let's talk about the flower medicinally. After trying it, what do you think the flower would be good for? Okay. Astringency, yes. So the flower is something that travels up into the head. So it will work with the sinuses, but it's really great as a diaphoretic. So it will open up the pores. It will help with that breaking a fever, and it's in a really gentle manner. So that is why it is really indicated for children as well, because it has that capacity to open up the skin pores, release heat. You may be feeling a little bit warmer after drinking this, not because it is a warming herb, but because it has the capability of bringing heat to the surface and releasing it. So if you have internal heat from the inside, it has the ability to bring it to the surface and release.
So if you're a naturally cold person, should you be drinking this?
It's an interesting question, Erica, because if you are naturally cold, it is astringent. I would say that it's probably not a good long-term herb for you, because it is meant to tonify and inherently it would make you colder long-term. Yeah. Mm-hmm. When I say it makes you warmer, it's because it would make you warmer if there is the possibility of like a false heat inside. So a false heat would be a possible stagnancy or infection going on. That's when it would make you warmer. Yep. Mm-hmm. Now, the difference between the flower versus the berry is the flower is really simple to use. So it can be utilized in a tea blend. It can be utilized, let's say, in a bath soak. We use this a lot for children, for young ones that won't drink tea. You can blend it up and then soak them in it, and so that has that topical approach. Whereas the berry, as we'll talk about later, needs more of a direct heat, a decoction to break down its medicinal properties. And its medicinal properties are slightly different. If you chew the berry, it has some toxic properties, so it needs to be broken down and heated well. Excuse me. Any questions with the flower itself? Yeah. I'm going to talk. Yeah, that's a great question. I have it. Oh, Carly, thank you. I'll pass it around in a little bowl. Would you like to sample the organoleptics of it? Sure. Okay, all right, we'll do that. Okay, so this is the dried elderflower, and I'll pass it around, and if you just want to take a little pinch like this, thank you, Carly. I would suggest with that pinch, go ahead and chewing it. Keep it in your mouth without swallowing. Try to do it for 60 to 90 seconds, okay? And as you're chewing, again, keep in mind, does your mouth get colder? Does it get warmer? Is there more moisture? Is there less moisture? And that is, again, identifying the energetics of the plant. But the organoleptic aspect is you're kind of imprinting this plant into your mind. So if you come across it again and it's not labeled, you do the same thing, your brain will be able to identify by this flavor, by this smell, what this plant is.
So would you buy it and chew it?
I only chew it like this when trying to make that imprint into my mind. Something like this is useful when performing organoleptics for like imprinting that plant memory in my brain. It's something that we do when we receive plants into the shop. We'll order in, let's say, 10 pounds of this elderflower, but we still sample it. We still taste it to make sure that each time that we get in a plant, it still has that same true flavor aspect, smell aspect that the previous batch holds. Yep.
Very mild. Right.
Did you guys have any different responses when chewing versus from the tea?
A lot of saliva.
More moisture?
I did too.
Yeah. I had more moisture as well. Excuse me. So the elderflower and the elderberry are part of the elder tree. It's known as a shrub, as a tree, and it has a huge mythological following, an herb lore that goes back many, many years. So in Celtic tradition, elder is actually celebrated in October. It's utilized as a protective plant. A lot of Scandinavian cultures will plant it in their entrances to their home as a protective tree. It is considered to be the mother elder spirit in a lot of societies for that plant. Now, if you look at the stem of the tree, it's hollow, and so it has been utilized in the past for that hollow branch to be used as whistles, but also fire starters. They would blow air in to start fires with this. And so there is a long herb lore around the elder as a deep protective plant. And I think that is true because it is more of a viral and bacterial protector for us today. So the tree, the plant does grow around here. You can find it in our pathways around the area, our walkways. It tends to really enjoy wooded areas or side places that are shrub like offshoots of with some water access. Now, the downfall with elderberry is that it has quite a few different subspecies that look like it, and the type of elder that you want to harvest from is considered the black elder. Now, there is something called a dwarf elder, and their berries will shoot up like this from the plant. And the elder tree, they dangle down. Now, the berries that shoot up are toxic, and the berries that dangle down are from the trees that we like. Yep. So if you find something along your walk that you think resembles either the elderflower or the elderberry, it's good to be along with a botanist or another herbalist that has harvested before, just because there are quite a few different cross-referencing species that you want to make sure that it's correct before harvesting.
Have you harvested it anywhere around here?
I have. Yeah, I have. Yep. Yeah. And I would be happy to do some cross-referencing if you would bring in, let's say, a photo of or even a branch of the way the flowers are forming. Yep. Okay. So see what time it is. I'm going to go ahead and get my water boiling for the decoction. And then we're going to talk and migrate over to the elderberry and sample the tincture. Cooling off now. Yeah. Yeah. So once it's now that it's cooling off, it tastes a little bit more bitter to me, and I can taste a little bit more of the bitter aspects. Would anyone like a little bit more of the? Ellie's like, no, thank you. Okay, yep, sure thing.
It tastes bitter to me already, so I'm interested to see how that changes.
Mm.
A little more
After it cools, yeah.
No, it was the only one I liked.
Now, Kathy, would you say, so I love this conversation because you don't taste any bitterness. Now, would you say that you are a warm person or a cold person in general? You're a warm person. Okay. And would you say that you sweat really easily, or you consider dry? You sweat pretty easily. Okay, that's really interesting, because I would say with that constitution, if you are a warm and a moist person, then something that is astringent and cold, like the elderflower, would fit your person or your constitution perfectly. And because of that, it may not taste bitter to you.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm not getting warm at all.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Now, Kim, have you been able to identify what your constitution is? Have I ever asked you that question before?
You mean
So, yes.
and sweaty?
You're hot and sweaty.
Ever
Okay.
since I got fat.
So you have more of a warm and moist constitution.
Oh, yes.
So when I say that, it's because different herbs will either cool you down or warm you up. Different herbs will dry you out or add moisture to your body. And so if you know what your body is, its baseline is, then it's interesting to know how different herbs will react to it.
Okay.
So for you, Kim, cinnamon might not be the best choice because it will warm you up, right?
Oh, okay.
But an herb like peppermint will cool you down, and just like this one, it's cooling and astringent. So that's your constitution.
Interesting.
Okay. So we're going to try the berry now. Now, last month we did Oregon grapefruit. And Oregon grapefruit was one of the most medicinal herbs that we have tried so far, considered a low dose herb. Oh. And there was a constituent in Oregon grapefruit called quercetin that was found in the Oregon grapefruit that's also found in the elderberry. So this helps fight free radicals. So if you have any identified cancer in the body, you have some tumors in the body, anything like that, or if you are under the weather, this is really what bumps the elderberry up. It helps tackle the free radicals, along with different immune stimulating qualities. It's also really rich in flavonoids. When you look at the elderberry itself, and I'll pass this around, you can see how dark it is. So the rich purplish color are flavonoids, so really high vitamin C content that you're receiving with the berry that you don't receive with the flower. So different properties for the same tree, same shrub, different parts that come out of it. Astringent, diaphoretic, moving heat outward, helps with those sinus congestion. Internal immune system stimulating, high vitamin C content, more of the internal fighter, more of the heady astringent, and then moving outward, heat. Okay, so just like the elderberry, I'm gonna pass the elderberry around for you. However, if you want to put it in your mouth, you're going to need to spit it back out because the internal seed of elderberry is toxic. So you're more than welcome to let it sit in your mouth. It has arsenic, almost like an apple seed does. That is why when you utilize elderberry, you always use a decoction, because you mash the berry and you grab the medicinal aspect from the outside of the berry, but then you discard the seeds. Okay, so I'll pass that around. I'm gonna get this steeping here because my water is boiling.
Having some sinus congestion, and I just had that one Elderflower cleared up. Like so quick.
So I have a question for the group as a whole. Thank you, Kim. For the elderberry decoction here, I have the ability to just decoct the elderberry down and then make just plain elderberry syrup out of the just elderberries. Or I've also pulled cinnamon, ginger, and clove that we could add in for some extra medicinal aspects. Would you guys prefer sampling the elderberry syrup with just elderberry, since we're focusing on elderberry today, or would you like the add-ins?
Let's try just that.
Just that, yep.
After we try it?
No.
Okay.
Okay, yep. All right, we'll just make the syrup out of the elderberry and stay true to the herb of the month then.
Do you, when you sell the elderberry syrup, does it have add-ins?
Yes. Yep. Yep. Yep.
So is this going to taste terrible?
No, it will taste good. Yeah.
I like the elderberry syrup.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Smells like you're burning chocolate.
Oh, over here? I don't have an answer for that. Okay, so did you guys put the berry in your mouth? No. Okay, yeah. No to, you said no to toxicity. All right, what was your response over here, Erica?
Oh, about berry in my mouth?
Yeah, did it have much flavor?
It had a little bit of a flavor.
Okay.
And then the chocolate smell took over.
Okay. What I have found when I personally have utilized elderberry is that it's very mild, and you can really identify how hard and dry those berries are, so you can get an idea of how much heat is really needed to break down those medicinal walls. Whereas, the flower dissolved in your mouth, the berry is still there, pretty much fully intact when you spit it back out. Yeah. Okay, so while this is what I have going on here, and you're more than welcome to stand up and see, and then we'll try the tincture. But what I have going on is a decoction. And so with decoctions, you start with a certain volume of water, and you add in the herbs, and then once that volume of water that you've started with has evaporated by half, that is when you strain it out. Usually decoctions can last, depending on the heat, anywhere from 12 to 20 minutes. And you can do a decoction with just a single tablespoon of water. A single tablespoon of herb. For instance, some of our more rootier tea blends, like the Charming Chocolate Chai right now. It's a new tea blend, but it's all roots. You could make that out of a decoction with it. Yep. Now, decoctions are usually used with berries, roots, and more dense herbs, things that need direct high heat to break them down. You would not use a decoction with the elderflower because the heat would overpower the properties of the elderflower, and it would destroy the medicinal properties. Okay. All right, so you guys ready to try some tincture? So I'm just going to put 15 drops in each cup. Now this is the tinctured elderberry. And this is an alcohol extract. So let me know if anyone is not in favorable of that.
So being a tincture, that's different than when I buy the elderberry syrup.
It is, yeah. And you'll know the exact difference, Kim, once we make the decoction into a syrup. Okay, so 10 drops is not that much. I think I'm going to just add just a tiny bit of water into each cup just to make the serving go down a little bit easier. Okay. Well, I think it's more of dispense out of the cup a little easier, actually. It's a little sweet. It's a little sweet. Yep. All right. Kathy, Ellie, and Erica. All right, so same thing with the tincture. Let it sit in your mouth before you swallow and test out the organoleptics. Does it dry you out? Does it add moisture? Is it cooling? Does it add warmth to you? And then once you swallow, where does it go in your body? Do you feel it in your head, in your heart, in your belly? How is the tincture for you? Yeah. Yeah. Movement. Yeah. That's okay. That's all right. Yeah, sometimes different herbs are more potent than others. Yep. Yep. How about you guys?
I know it's cooling down the spine.
Nice. Okay. Excellent. More saliva, more moisture. Okay. Interesting. All right.
And so if you bought the tincture,
Mm-hmm.
is that what you're supposed to do? Just squish it in your mouth?
Yep. So tinctures are a lot more accessible than tea. In a way that, sorry, I'm dealing with a scratchy throat, and the elderberry seems to be bringing some things up. Yeah, release that. It's a good choice for me today. So the tinctures are really good because you can carry it around with you. While the tea you need to brew, and it's something more stationary. So they both have their time and their place. And I'll show you here. For instance, Kim, my lung blend tincture that I've made for myself has some elderberry in it. And so it's something that I utilize throughout the day here. Instead, I usually have some tea going on. Like I have a cup, but when I'm out here talking, I can easily just do something like this. Take a couple servings, put it in my pocket, and then I'm ready to go. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so if I would want that, a similar serving, it takes about 15 minutes to make a cup of tea. Yeah. So that being said, the dose that I just took was elderberry. So if you wanted specifically the medicinal properties of elderberry, you would need to make a decoction of that. And so that is why the tincture is really useful for the elderberry, unless you use the syrup too. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. So let's see where we're at in the decoction here. I think we're just about there. So I'm going to turn the heat off, and then I'm going to go get some straining tools, okay? Clear off my space. And I'm going to pass this around just so we have an idea of what it looks like now. I'll just walk around with it. You can see it just looks like berries and water. And the amount of water has evaporated by about half here. And what I do when I put it through my strainer is I kind of mash the berries, because the berries are still pretty whole. They have expanded with the water, but I still kind of want to get a lot of that medicinal aspect from the pulp. So I'll go get my strainer and pour it through, and then you'll kind of see that process too. Okay. So one more moment, and I'll be back with you.
So is this one herb that you can take on a regular basis as a tincture, or just when you don't feel good?
So the elderflower, I would not recommend taking it daily, simply because it may change your overall constitution. It is so dry and astringent that you may end up becoming cold and dry. Yes. And so I would utilize it more acutely when you need it for those symptoms. Does that make sense to you, Kathy? The berry, I have customers that will take the berry in different forms on a daily basis most of the winter as a preventative because the berry doesn't quite have that same sort of strict or harsh energetic quality. It's not as quite as cold or as bitter. And so it doesn't have the potential to change your energetic like the flower does. That being said, again, if you have any autoimmune conditions, that would be the only caution, or if you're pregnant and breastfeeding. So I am just prepping the container here. We have a spray bottle that is diluted with rubbing alcohol, and that is usually what we utilize as our overall germ killer when we're here in the shop. I chose the glass so we could all see it because I thought it would be pretty. So I have just a mesh strainer that I'm going to pour through. Has anyone made elderberry syrup here before? My production manager has. So this preparation that I'm showing here as a decoction of the elderberry is actually much different than how we make the elderberry here in the shop. So the decoction is the water-based elderberry preparation. And so you will see a lot of water-based preparations where we then use the water here from the decoction, and then we'll mix in honey to make into a simple syrup. Now, this type of preparation is only good for about 2 to 3 weeks in the refrigerator. So the type of preparation that we utilize in the shop, we have eliminated the water altogether. So the difference between the product that we have here in the store, ours is actually called an oxymil. And so it's a different type of herbal product that utilizes apple cider vinegar and honey. And so instead of having the infusion of the herbs in water, we utilize it with apple cider vinegar and a honey mixture together. And so it has less of an ability for the product to mold, and it extends the shelf life of it. Also, the product that we have, it steeps for about 6 weeks too. So it's a longer steeping and strain, while this is a short term. So it's a different preparation. But if you are looking to create something for your family in your home, let's say the community, you notice everyone is getting sick around you and you want to make something fast, this is an excellent preparation just to keep it in the refrigerator and utilize it every day. Yep. Or let's say coming up, start a school year because everyone gets sick. Halloween, kids are meeting and greeting and eating a lot of candy. Everyone gets sick afterwards. Thanksgiving, people get together and then they get sick afterwards. It's, you know, you see these patterns, and then Christmas comes and then everyone gets sick again. So you know that these things are in our lives. So it's wonderful to have a preparation like this on hand that you know is going to be there for 3 weeks, that you just integrate into your life, to boost your immune system and help with those colds and flus that are already going around, because you know that they're going to be a part of your life. So that's when these preparations really help. So we made the decoction. What would you say? It boiled for about 10 minutes, probably? Okay.
When you harvest the elderberry, do you dehydrate it or do you just?
That's a great question. So, the one thing, and I'm going to pour that first, and then I'll answer that question, okay? Sure. So, the reason I didn't answer right away is because if you harvest berries when they're not black, if you harvest them when they're green or not quite ripe, it's again toxic.
Oh.
And so there's some additional preparation when harvesting berries. So you have to make sure that they are very black and dark, just like this. But when I make them at home and they have been fresh, I'll just utilize them fresh. I don't dehydrate them before using.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, I know you said you needed, when Carly went to get the measuring thing,
Yeah.
I know you said you needed 3.5 cups of water.
Yeah.
But how much?
How much elderberry? I think I utilized 19 ounces of elderberry. Let me see.
Okay.
No, 3.5 ounces. It was 99 grams.
So, okay, 3.5 and 3.5.
Yeah.
Is it,
Yeah.
is that how it's, we're at? Okay.
3.5 ounces of
3.5
elderberry,
cups.
and then 3.5 cups.
Okay.
1 to 1.
All right, you said 3.5 ounces?
3.5 ounces.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll make sure I use them right.
Yeah. Or 99 grams.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so after I squeeze out all the berries, I'm gonna add in honey, and that's a simple syrup. Mix it together, and then we'll sample it, okay? Now, the honey that we use is a local honey, so then you're getting additional medicinal benefits with the local honey.
So where do you get it?
We work with Florence and Bees.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And Kim, or you're taking notes, it's 1 cup honey.
Well, Lissy's gonna wanna know. Cause after that first class, she made the tincture, she made the dog bug spray.
My
she made
goodness.
Oh, yeah.
That's so exciting.
I know. Okay. So can you buy the elderberry things here?
Yep.
Okay.
this together. I'll just make sure it's nice and blended, and then I'll dispense some each to us. Did anyone have additional questions about what they tried with the elder tree shrub in general? Have any additional questions?
Yeah, so this is something about making a salve.
Yeah.
What would you use that for?
So the salve, I think, would be best with you if you utilize the elderflower
Okay.
in the salve itself. Now, when I think of utilizing an elderflower in the salve base, I think of those same like skin opening properties.
Okay.
So I think of possible infections or like drawing poultices, those sorts of things. Or like blisters, red inflamed skin conditions, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Would you just do that with a olive oil or shea butter?
You know, with the purpose of drawing things open like this, I would probably utilize more of a lighter oil. So maybe like a apricot seed oil. The jojoba oil would be something that would absorb really nicely. If you wanted something to penetrate really deeply, because it's something more internal that you needed to release, let's say internal cyst or something like that, then I'd probably infuse it into like a castor oil.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Thanks for stopping, guys.
Megan, one thing after attending these classes.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to know which herbs I need, and if I need all of them or just one. You know what I mean? I mean, because
Yeah.
you go from day to day, you might
Sure,
need that one, you
yeah.
might need that one. How do you,
How do you choose?
yes.
Yes, I think that is a great question, Kathy. So, and are you asking whether how you choose when you're sick, what you need, or how you choose just generally?
Generally,
Yes,
Yeah.
me too.
Okay.
Because, you know, you read it and it says the uses and,
Uh-huh.
well, yeah, I've got allergies and I have those all the time, all year round. Arthritis is always there.
So, you know, it's interesting because when you think of the elderflower or the elderberry, and I'll just pinpoint the arthritic conditions, okay? And I'll pair it back to talking about our constitution, okay? Because they're all connected. Now, when we talk about the elderflower, it is a cold, astringent herb, so it will, if your joints are swelling and you have a lot of stagnant heat in the joints, yes, it will be really useful for that, okay? However, if you are the type of person that is already cold but has stagnant heat in your joints, elderflower is not for you. So you have to match the correct plant with you. And I think what you can come to find, Kathy and Kim, here is when you do the tastings, if something feels really good to you when you're tasting it, maybe it's something you explore a little bit longer. And instead of just doing a tasting, maybe you try it for a week and see how your body responds for a week with it. If something is connected and you say, oh, this works really well, and when I taste it, my body is responding really well to it, yeah, explore it more.
Okay.
Does that answer a
Yes.
question to you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you should know just within these immediate tastings whether or not you want to explore further. Because it's how your body responds more than what's in the pamphlet.
Okay, okay.
Because half of that pamphlet may be indicated for you,
Right,
but you put it in your body and your body's not indicated for the plant.
right. Yeah, that's why that cooling cleanse works for me.
For you, yeah.
Right.
Mhm. You're welcome. Thanks.
How much did you get of the cooling?
Yeah. Well, I started with the sample bag and now I got the glass shell and then I just refilled it.
Again?
Yeah.
Okay, 'cause I'm wondering what I should have.
Is it the best thing we've
What
tasted
is-
all day?
Not quite like chocolate, but it tastes pretty good.
You can get like 8 cups out of it, just to see if you like it.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
And this is without any of the additives, because I mean,
Right.
it's different than the, of course, the,
Yeah.
but still, it's,
It's just elderberry, the decoction with honey.
It's really interesting because the elderberry syrup I've purchased before, I've never been able to take it because I don't like the taste. But this, or at least now, I think it might be more of a now than a this.
Sure.
Yeah. This kind of tastes some chocolate in it, don't Chocolate.
Yeah.
It's really good.
I can taste the honey.
Yeah.
oh,
I have the oxymel at home, and I will say, like, it tastes okay, but the smell of apple cider vinegar, I'm always kind of like,
Yep. Yeah.
but it doesn't taste like that.
It doesn't taste
That
like
tastes
this.
very good.
It's a different preparation for sure. Yeah. Well, here it is. Super easy. I would say once you jar it, label it. And label exactly your proportions to the volume that it made, the date you made it, and keep it refrigerated.
so how much of it should you take? If you make it yourself, you don't have
Yep.
a little,
1 tablespoon a day.
oh, okay.
Unless you're sick, then you can take up to 3.
Okay.
Now, I was thinking of getting the immune drink tonight.
Yes.
Is it okay to, like, since we've had all this elderberry today, is that too much elderberry for a day? Or, no,
No.
okay.
No. You know, when you are feeling under the weather, I think on our oxymel jar, we say you can use it 3 or 4 times a day. Yeah. So, I will mention you can even. I'll just maybe even have you smell the berries, Erica, and just see how you respond to them energetically before we make that for you. Okay. Yeah, I think that would be the best response. Okay. And following up on your previous question, Kathy, whether or not, how do you know whether or not an herb is right for you? It is going back to the body, and I utilize this a lot because as we go through these, there will be aspects of every pamphlet that appeal to you.
Right.
So
All right.
opening
That's
up,
what I found so far.
Yep. Opening up a jar, or as we pass them around, putting it in your hand and smelling it and seeing, is this repulsive? Like,
Right.
is my body drawing away from this, or am I pulling forward? So energetically, do I want more of this?
Okay.
And so if you do want more of it, you should.
Yeah,
You know,
explore more
because
of it.
with essential oils, they always say, if you can't stand the smell, it's
Yes.
because your body needs it.
Yes, I take a different approach here.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
okay.
Yep. So,
Interesting.
I came in one day and Carly had spilled some white lotus on the counter, and now it smelled.
And they threw up in the trash.
Fine.
Oh, okay.
I had to get some.
Yeah.
So that's your tactic.
There you go. That day you spilled something down
don't
eat
want
it. Can I answer any other follow-up questions? I appreciate you guys coming. Elder is a really interesting plant because of one of its metaphysical properties, but because it has two different aspects that are so different from each other. So I'm glad you guys got to sample it today and try it
Yeah,
out.
good, great.
Yeah.
And I have a quick question.
Yeah.
It didn't boil, did it?
It
You
did,
take
yes,
it to a
you
boil.
do, yeah.
Ah,
You
okay.
simmer it, you simmer it the
Simmer.
whole time.
Just to get that water down to that.
Yeah, alright, yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.